He was the perfect man, but I got bored of him and went back to my ex. Now I miss him, but he's already with someone else. I need advice to get him back. Imagine waking up every single morning to a person who is essentially a human golden retriever. Liam was that guy, the kind of man who would have a glass of water waiting on your nightstand and the good morning, beautiful, a text ready before you even opened your eyes. It sounds like a dream, right? Well, for me, it was a slow-motion suffocation in a bed of silk. He was so incredibly stable that I started to feel like I was living in a beige-colored waiting room where nothing ever happens. There was no edge, no mystery, and absolutely no reason for me to feel alive because he handled everything with such annoying grace. Being with Liam was like being forced to eat steamed broccoli for every meal of the day. You know it's healthy, you know it's what you're supposed to want, but after a while, the lack of flavor makes you want to scream. He would bring me flowers every single Tuesday, not because I asked, but because he thought it was a sweet tradition. We would sit on the couch and he would actually listen to my feelings for hours, nodding along with that patient, supportive gaze. It was exhausting. I didn't want a therapist or a cheerleader, I wanted someone who would actually challenge the air in the room. That's when I started thinking about Brian again. Brian is the literal opposite of a balanced meal. He's a dumpster fire that you can't help but roast marshmallows over. He's the kind of guy who forgets your birthday but then surprises you with a random trip to a dive bar 3 towns over because he had a vision. He's always chasing some entrepreneurial dream involving crypto or some startup that doesn't exist yet, and he's constantly broke. But the way he looks at me makes my blood pump, unlike Liam's steady, rhythmic heartbeat that just reminded me of a ticking clock. I didn't plan to cheat, but when Brian messaged me saying he was in the neighborhood and thinking of my chaos, I couldn't help myself. I told Liam I was going out with the girls, but I really went to meet Brian at a shitty motel that smelled like stale cigarettes. It was messy, it was loud, and it was exactly what I needed to break the monotony of my perfect life. I felt more in those 2 hours of hiding than I had in the last year of being Liam's princess. It wasn't about hurting Liam, it was about finally feeling something that wasn't choreographed and polite. When I finally broke things off with Liam, I decided to do it in the most charitable way possible. I sat him down and gave him the old, "It's not you, it's me" speech, but with a twist. I told him he was simply too good for me, that his heart was too pure for someone as complicated as I am. I wanted to see him crumble, honestly. I wanted to see that perfect composure break just once. When he finally started to cry, I felt a strange surge of power, like I had finally left a mark on his polished surface. I walked out of his life feeling like a tragic heroine, leaving a trail of beautiful destruction behind me. I jumped straight back into Brian's arms, and for the first week, the adrenaline was absolutely intoxicating. We stayed up until dawn arguing about nothing, we ate cold pizza on the floor, and we lived in a state of constant, electric uncertainty. It was the spark I had been craving, a total departure from the scheduled dinner dates and soft music Liam provided. Brian would disappear for 10 hours and then come back with some wild story about a business deal, and I loved the drama of it. I felt like I was finally in a movie instead of a boring documentary about a stable couple. However, that passion started to look a lot like poverty pretty quickly. Brian is now constantly asking me for rent money because his latest crypto coin hit a temporary dip, and he hasn't washed a dish since I moved in. The dumpster fire is starting to just feel like a pile of trash that's making my eyes water. I'm tired of the yelling, tired of the uncertainty, and tired of being the only one who actually pays for anything. I realized that the adrenaline is fun for a weekend, but living in it is just plain stressful when you're used to someone who actually has a bank account. The real breaking point happened yesterday when I saw Liam at that little cafe we used to frequent. He was sitting in our booth, but he wasn't alone. He was with some girl who looked like she'd never had a single chaotic thought in her life. He was looking at her with that same imperfect gaze he used to give me, leaning in to catch her every word. It hit me like a physical blow to the stomach. That gaze belonged to me, and seeing him give it to someone else made me feel like he had stolen something of mine. I suddenly realized that I want my toy back. I know I'm the one who threw it in the dirt, but that doesn't mean some librarian type gets to just pick it up and keep it. Liam is mine, and he's only with her because he's trying to fill the void I left behind. She's probably just a placeholder, a boring little distraction to help him forget the fire I brought into his life. He's a good man, and I know I can get him back if I just play my cards right and show him what he's missing. I need advice on how to dismantle this little relationship he's built. I'm thinking about reaching out to him to check in, or maybe showing up somewhere I know they'll be. I just need to remind him of our history and show him that peace is actually just another word for boredom. He deserves excitement, and I'm the only one who can truly give that to him. How do I make him realize that she's just a rebound and that we're meant to be together? Main story comments. Anonymous user 1 says, so, let me get this straight. You got bored because he treated you well, cheated with a loser who can't pay rent, and now that you're miserable, you want to ruin Liam's happiness? Stability isn't a flaw, Melanie. It sounds like you're just allergic to a healthy life and want to drag him back into your mess. OP's reply, stable is just a nice word for having no personality. I deserve a life that has excitement and loyalty, and Liam just needs to be reminded that I'm the one who keeps things interesting. He was miserable with his routine before I came along. Anonymous user 2 says, I'm dying to know about this new girl. What does she have that you don't? Is she actually a boring, or does she just not cheat on him and treat him like an object? OP's reply, she looks like a librarian who spends her weekends organizing her spice rack. I give them a month, tops, before he realizes she's as dry as he is. He's just trying to convince himself he likes peace because he's hurt. Update 1. It's been 3 days since my last update, and the silence from Liam's side is becoming absolutely deafening. I spent about 2 hours on Tuesday night, which used to be our flower night, by the way, crafting the perfect text. I wanted it to sound vulnerable but not desperate, so I went with a simple, I saw you the other day, and it brought back so many memories. I hope you're doing okay. I must have deleted and rewritten that thing 10 times to make sure the tone was just right. I finally hit send at 2 a.m., assuming he'd see it first thing in the morning and feel that familiar tug at his heartstrings. He never replied, which is just so typical of his new persona he's trying to project. I checked my phone every 5 minutes the entire next day, convinced that he was just thinking of what to say. But while Liam was busy ignoring me, Brian was busy being a total child. He found my phone while I was in the shower and saw the sent message. He went absolutely ballistic, screaming about how I was betraying the life we were building together. Honestly, seeing him get that jealous was the only fun I've had all week because at least it showed he actually cares about me. Then, Brian did something incredibly annoying and overstepped a massive boundary. Instead of just talking to me, he took it upon himself to call Liam directly to mark his territory. I could hear him yelling into the phone from the other room, telling Liam to stay away from his woman, and calling him all sorts of names. I was cringing, waiting for Liam to fire back, to defend our history, or at least sound a little bit bothered by the whole situation. I wanted a confrontation, a sign that Liam still felt enough for me to fight for my honor. Instead, Liam handled it with that same infuriating, flat tone that made me leave him in the first place. Brian had the phone on speaker, and I heard Liam sigh a long, tired sigh that sounded like he was talking to a telemarketer. He didn't even raise his voice or sound angry. He simply told Brian, keep her, she's your problem now, and then he just hung up. Just like that. No, how could she, or, tell her I hate her, just a dismissive comment like I was a piece of faulty luggage he was glad to be rid of. The lack of a fight from Liam is honestly insulting. After everything we went through, after all those Flower Tuesdays and deep conversations, he should be absolutely devastated that I'm with someone else. He should be trying to win me back, not handing me over to Brian like I'm a chore he's finished with. It's like he's trying to erase me entirely, and it's making me realize that I need to step up my game. He's clearly just putting on a front of being done because his ego is bruised, and I won't let him win this little game of chicken. I've spent the last 24 hours dealing with Brian's ego, which is even more exhausting than Liam's stability ever was. Brian keeps acting like he won, swaggering around the apartment like he's some kind of alpha male because Liam didn't fight back. He doesn't realize that Liam only backed down because he's a coward who hates conflict. I'm stuck here listening to Brian talk about his next big move in the crypto world while I'm the one who actually had to buy the groceries this morning. It's pathetic. I'm starting to think that Liam's silence is actually a form of psychological warfare. He knows that ignoring me is the one thing that will get under my skin. By not replying to my text and by telling Brian I'm his problem, he's trying to make me feel small. It's a very passive-aggressive move for someone who claims to be so mature and kind. He's clearly trying to punish me for moving on, even though he's the one who already has some new girl on his arm. Speaking of the new girl, I did some deep diving on her social media, and she is exactly what I expected. Her name is Sarah, and her entire feed is just pictures of her dogs, her sourdough bread, and inspirational quotes about mindfulness. She's the human equivalent of a warm glass of milk. There's no way Liam is actually attracted to that. He's just choosing her because she's the path of least resistance. He wants someone who will never challenge him, never make him work for it, and never bring any color into his gray little life. I'm planning my next move because I refuse to let things end on a note where he thinks he's better than me. I know Liam's routine like the back of my hand, and I know exactly where he'll be this weekend. If he won't respond to a text, he'll have to respond to me in person. I just need to remind him of the chemistry we had, the kind of chemistry Sarah probably doesn't even know exists. I'm going to show him exactly what he's letting go of, and I bet he won't be so dismissive once he's looking me in the eye. He can pretend he's happy all he wants, but I know the truth. You don't just go from a fire like me to a damp match like Sarah without feeling the chill. He's hurting, and his immaturity is just a mask for the fact that he's absolutely broken inside. I'm doing him a favor by trying to save him from this boring rebound life he's settled for. He just needs a little push to remember who he really belongs to. Update 1 comments. Anonymous user 1 says, "He's your problem now." Honestly, that is the most legendary response I've ever heard. Liam isn't passive-aggressive, Melanie. He's just done. He's moved on to someone who doesn't treat his kindness like a weakness. You're the only one still playing a game. OP's reply, he's not being mature, he's being passive-aggressive. He's clearly hurt and trying to act like he doesn't care so he doesn't have to face the fact that he lost me. If he were really done, he wouldn't have sighed like that. Anonymous user 2 says, "Brian sounds like a total loser. Calling your ex to mark territory? That's embarrassing. You went from a guy who respected you to a guy who treats you like a possession he has to defend." OP's reply, "Brian is a lot, I'll admit that, but at least he has a pulse and shows some passion. Liam was practically a robot who followed a script every day. I'd rather have someone who fights for me than someone who just gives up." Update 2. It's been 1 week since my last update, and things have taken a turn that I honestly did not see coming. I decided that accidents are the best way to get through someone's defenses, so I made sure to run into Liam at his favorite gym on Saturday morning. I spent an hour getting ready, wearing that specific deep red workout set that he used to say made me look dangerous. I knew he'd be there at 9 a.m. sharp because the man is nothing if not predictable. I walked in feeling like I held all the cards, ready to see that look of shock and longing in his eyes when he realized what he was missing. I spotted him near the weights, but my heart nearly stopped when I realized he wasn't alone. He was with the librarian, Sarah, and they were laughing together as if they were in some cheesy commercial for a healthy lifestyle. They looked so comfortable, so synchronized, and it made me want to throw a kettlebell at the mirror. I waited until they were finishing a set and then glided over, putting on my most charmingly condescending smile. I didn't want to look desperate, I wanted to look like I was checking in on a pet I'd outgrown. I walked right up to them and made a comment about how it was nice he finally found someone who matches his slow pace. I thought it was a clever jab at how boring they both are, and I expected Liam to look embarrassed or at least a little defensive. I wanted him to see me the fire, the red set, the history and feel ashamed of the bland life he was currently leading. I stood there, waiting for the sparks to fly, for the tension to become unbearable, and for Sarah to realize she was out of her league. But Liam didn't even look angry, he didn't even give me the satisfaction of a frown. He just wiped the sweat from his forehead, looked me straight in the eye with a terrifyingly calm expression, and introduced her. "Melanie, this is Sarah, my fiancé," he said, his voice as steady as a rock. "Fiancé?" The word rang in my ears like a gong. We have only been broken up for 2 months, and he's already proposing to someone else? It's absolutely insane and, quite frankly, a total insult to the time we spent together. I couldn't help but laugh, a sharp, cold sound that echoed a bit too loudly in the gym. I turned to Sarah and told her, right to her face, that she was nothing more than a rebound for the chaos and life I provided. I told her she was just the safe option because Liam couldn't handle a real woman who challenged him. I expected her to shrink away, to get defensive, or to start a scene that would make Liam regret bringing her there. I wanted a fight, I wanted the chaos to remind him of why he loved me. Sarah didn't give me the satisfaction of a breakdown. She just looked at me with this pitying smile, the kind you give to a child who's having a tantrum in public. She actually reached out and touched Liam's arm before looking back at me and saying, "Thanks for letting him go, Melanie. I actually prefer peace." The way she said peace made it sound like the most luxurious thing in the world, and it made my skin crawl. It was the ultimate dismissal, and I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs. I left the gym feeling like I was the one who had been humiliated, which makes no sense because I'm the one who looks better and has more personality. The fact that he's already engaged is a clear sign that he's totally lost his mind. Nobody gets engaged after 2 months unless they're desperately trying to prove something to themselves or their ex. He's clearly trying to create a new life, as fast as possible so he doesn't have to deal with the void I left behind. It's a classic move by a man who is completely broken. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that Liam must have had her on the sidelines while we were still together. There is no other logical explanation for an engagement this fast. He was probably cheating on me emotionally for months, which makes him the real villain in this story. I was at least honest about my needs and my spark with Brian, but Liam was playing the part of the perfect boyfriend while secretly grooming his next peacefully replacement. It's disgusting, honestly. I've been stuck in the apartment with Brian all weekend, and the contrast is becoming unbearable. Brian spent the whole time complaining about how the gym is a scam and trying to get me to invest in some new digital art project he's starting. He's loud, he's messy, and he has zero respect for my personal space. I'm sitting here thinking about Liam's quiet, organized apartment and the way he always had fresh coffee ready in the morning. I'm starting to realize that a peace might actually be better than chaos when your chaos is a man-child who won't get a job. I'm not giving up, though. An engagement is just a piece of paper and a ring, it's not a marriage. Liam is clearly making a huge mistake, and I'm the only one who can save him from a lifetime of sourdough bread and boring gym sessions. He's just confused, and Sarah is just a temporary distraction from the truth. I just need to figure out how to show her the real Liam, the one who was obsessed with me, and see if her precious peace survives that. Update 2 comments. Anonymous user 1 says, Sarah is a class act. I prefer peace is the ultimate shutdown. She didn't even have to insult you, she just showed you how much better her life is without your drama. Liam looks like he's finally found a partner, not a project. OP's reply, peace is just another word for boring. She's welcome to my leftovers if she wants a life where nothing ever happens. She only seems classy because she's too dull to have any real emotions. Anonymous user 2 says, 2 months to an engagement is fast, but maybe when you find the right person after being with a toxic one, you just know. Or maybe he's been planning his escape for a long time. OP's reply, exactly. He must have had her on the sidelines. There's no way he moved on that fast naturally. He's the real villain here, acting all perfect while he was clearly looking for my replacement. Update 3. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, and I am currently writing this from my sister's lumpy guest couch because my life has officially turned into a series of unfortunate events that are definitely not my fault. My plan to save Liam by showing Sarah the truth completely backfired in the most unfair way possible. I spent hours gathering proof of Liam's boring habits, like the fact that he has a spreadsheet for his monthly expenses and that he refuses to stay out past 11 p.m. on a work night. I thought if Sarah saw how rigid and dull he really is, she'd realize she was signing up for a lifetime of boredom. I sent her a long, detailed message on Instagram, explaining that I was worried for her and that Liam was just using her as a rebound to hide from the passion we shared. I even included a few old photos of us where he looked particularly happy, just to remind her that she's the second choice. I thought I was doing a girl a favor, woman to woman, but instead of thanking me or asking questions, she just blocked me. No reply, no let's talk, just a cold, digital door slammed in my face. It's so typical of someone who can't handle the truth. Then, I tried a different angle. I reached out to our old friend group, the people we used to host game nights with back when things were perfect. There was a big party coming up for one of the guys' birthdays, and I made sure to mention how much I was looking forward to seeing everyone and how things with Brian were complicated. I expected them to welcome me back with open arms, but instead, I got a message from the host saying I wasn't invited. They told me that Liam had already told them the truth about why we broke up, how I told him I was bored and went straight to Brian. I couldn't believe it. Liam, the man who supposedly loved me, went and poisoned all our friends against me. He told them his biased version of the story, making me out to be some kind of villain just because I followed my heart and sought out some excitement. Now everyone thinks I'm the bad guy, and they've all taken his side because he's the victim. They enjoyed all the drama and life I brought to those parties for years, but the second things get a little real, they all turn into fake, judgmental adults. It's incredibly hypocritical. To make matters even worse, Brian has turned out to be an even bigger disaster than I imagined. He caught me looking at Liam's Facebook page again and we had a massive blowout. I was just trying to see if he'd posted any more engagement and nonsense, but Brian took it as a personal insult. He started yelling about how I was obsessed, and how he wouldn't be the second choice in his own house. The irony of him talking about his house, when I'm the one who paid the security deposit, is just too much. He ended up kicking me out in the middle of the night, throwing my clothes into garbage bags. So, here I am, on my sister's couch, and everyone is ignoring my calls. My best of friends haven't texted me back, Liam has me blocked on everything, and even my sister keeps giving me these annoyed looks every time I try to talk about how unfair this all is. She actually told me to get a grip, and that I brought this on myself. I can't believe the lack of support I'm getting from the people who are supposed to love me. It's like they've all formed a club dedicated to making me feel like I'm the problem. I am not the problem, I am the victim of a series of people who can't handle a woman who doesn't fit into their little boxes. Liam was too boring, Brian was too unstable, and my friends are too fake. I just wanted a life that felt real, and instead, I've been cast out of my own social circle. It's the chaos I was looking for, I guess, but it's not the fun kind where I'm the center of attention. It's the kind where everything is falling apart and nobody is there to catch me. I saw a post on a mutual friend's story today which I had to view from a burner account, obviously, and it was a photo of Liam and Sarah at their engagement party. They were surrounded by all of my friends, and everyone looked so disgustingly happy. They were all smiling and laughing, and not one of them looked like they missed me at all. It was like I had been edited out of my own life. It's a complete betrayal, and I honestly don't know how Liam can sleep at night knowing he's stolen my entire support system. I'm currently trying to figure out a way to get back at them, or at least make them acknowledge that I exist. I can't just let them live their perfect lives while I'm stuck here in limbo. I need to remind them that I'm the one who made that group interesting in the first place. Without me, they're just a bunch of people eating sourdough and talking about their 401ks. I refuse to be the casualty of their boring little revolution. I'm thinking about showing up at the next group event, invited or not. They can't just erase me. I have history with these people, and Liam doesn't get to decide who stays and who goes just because he found a librarian to play house with. I'm going to make sure they remember exactly who I am, and I'm going to do it in a way that they can't ignore. Update 3 comments. Anonymous user 1 says, your friends didn't take sides, Melanie. They just chose to hang out with the guy who isn't a cheating, drama-seeking mess. It's not a conspiracy, it's just people preferring to spend time with someone they actually respect. OP's reply, they're all fake. They enjoyed the drama and life I brought to the table for years until they had to take a side. Now they're all pretending to be immature, because it's easier than admitting they miss the excitement I provided. Anonymous user 2 says, the chaos provocateur finally got some real chaos, and she doesn't like it. You got exactly what you wanted, a dumpster fire life. Now you're just mad that you're the one getting burned. OP's reply, this isn't the chaos I wanted. I wanted to be the center of it, the one everyone was talking about and fighting over, not the casualty who gets kicked out of her own life. It's a complete misunderstanding of what I was trying to achieve. Update 4. It's been 1 month since my last update, and the silence has officially become permanent. I am a ghost in my own social circle, a name that I'm sure is only whispered with a shake of the head and a judgmental sigh. I spent the last few weeks watching from the sidelines as Liam and Sarah's engagement party photos flooded my feed. I had to create a fake account just to see them, and every new picture felt like a fresh insult. Everyone was there, my best friends, my cousins, even people I introduced to Liam in the first place. They all looked so disgustingly happy without me, like I was just a smudge on a window they had finally cleaned. I tried to fight back in the only way I had left. I posted a very carefully worded, cryptic story on my own page about toxic people leaving your life being a blessing, and how some people prefer a fake peace to a real fire. I thought it would make them think, make them realize that their happiness was just a facade. But the only person who engaged with it was Brian, who just commented before I blocked him for good. My sister even saw it and told me that if I didn't stop posting teenager drama and start looking for a real job, I'd have to find another couch to sleep on by the end of the month. The realization is finally starting to sink in, and it's a bitter, uncomfortable pill to swallow. I wanted to be the girl they couldn't forget, the one who left a trail of fire that would keep them warm or burned for years to come. I wanted Liam to spend the rest of his life wondering what if, and Sarah to always feel like she was living in my shadow. But the truth is much worse than that. I'm not the fire, I'm just the smoke that they've finally managed to clear out of the room. They aren't haunted by me, they're relieved I'm gone. I played with their lives like they were toys in a sandbox, moving them around and breaking them just to see how they'd react. I thought I was the one in control, the director of a grand, chaotic drama where I was always the star. But I forgot one very important thing. Toys can be thrown away once they become too much of a nuisance. I pushed and poked and manipulated until they simply decided they didn't want to play with me anymore. Now, I'm the one sitting in the bin, watching them play a new game that I'm not even a part of. It's a strange, hollow feeling to realize that your chaos wasn't actually special, it was just exhausting. Liam didn't find peace because he was boring, he found it because he was tired of me. My friends didn't betray me, they just chose the person who didn't make their lives harder. I'm left here with nothing but my pride and a bag of clothes, while they're all moving forward into a future that looks bright and steady. I'm the only one still standing in the ruins of the fire I started, and honestly, it's getting really cold.